A lot of people want to give credit to a terrible opponent, but here are some Pats defensive rankings over the course of the season. They're second in the league in sacks, first in opponent's completion percentage, fourth in opponent passer rating, and they are tied for second in interceptions. And that is where we begin the Daily Thread. We got Tommy Curran and Phil Perry still here. So, Phil Perry, was it or is it the product of some not so great quarterbacks, not so great offenses, or is the Patriots defense as good as advertised?
I think they have a lot of talent, but I think we're still waiting to see if they can consistently perform in a manner similar to the one that we saw on Sunday against consistently good quarterbacks, right? They had a hard time against Lamar Jackson. They had a hard time at times against Justin Fields. Those mobile quarterbacks have given them issues, Tom. And I just look at like the pocket passers that are coming up on the schedule, and I would even include Josh Allen there, even though we know he's mobile. Some of these guys are really, really good. And they just haven't faced that caliber of quarterback week after week just yet.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at all of them, Phil mentioned yesterday on our podcast, there might not be any of the quarterbacks that they've already played who would be better than any of the quarterbacks they're about to play, Zach Wilson accepted. But when you go down the line, they've seen Goff, they've seen Trubisky, they've seen Tua, who they'll see again. But all of these guys, generally speaking, have been sitting ducks. I do think the defense can travel, though. I do think that they can bring this to another level because defense is about confidence and defense is about understanding what you're doing and being able to rely on the guy next to you. Yeah, they got exposed pretty badly on some explosive plays against both the Ravens and the Bears. But I think overall that those dual threat quarterbacks, they should be better against. Shouldn't you see something, understand what the problems are, and instead of, as Devin McCourty, when I asked him about it, I said, he said, we can't say that's not us and it won't happen again unless we learn from it. So I'm going to presume that they will learn from it.
Can their pass rush of Judon and Uche in particular neutralize some of those quarterbacks that are coming up?
No. The reason being, well, some of the quarterbacks, but those dual threat quarterbacks, they don't love to rush up and around them, which is what Judon has specialized in, and to a degree Uche. They give them way more latitude to get up the field. But against some of the pocket guys, Phil, yeah, I think they can be a pain. I don't think there's going to be an offensive coordinator who's going, oh, good, Patriots, they're a paper tiger.
There's two players in particular to me in recent weeks that have made, in my opinion, this defense more athletic. And so maybe it does make them more effective against a guy like Josh Allen or even somebody like Joe Burrow, who they'll see late in the year, who we know can scramble around and make some plays with his legs. It's Josh Uche off the edge, and we saw yesterday one of his sacks, he just chased down Sam Ehlinger from behind, pushed him out of bounds. It just showed that sideline-to-sideline speed. He's healthy now. He's got some juice. That helps. Jabril Peppers. If they have Julius Peppers in his prime, that would be a big add to the defense. Jabril Peppers, though, I think the last couple of weeks has given them something at the second level as an explosive, physical player with some speed. I would use him at linebacker at times against some of these faster quarterbacks and let him chase them around because he clearly brings value to them, even with Duggar back on the field and all those safeties that they normally throw out.
I have nightmares, though, about Matt Judon last year, defensive MVP early on. This guy might literally be the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. And then it was like after Halloween, he also became a ghost. Does that happen again? Or is he good enough? Has he improved enough this year that he will continue to play at this high of a level?
All you can do is go on what they tell you when they're telling you the truth. I presume they are when they're at the podium. And Judon says he's in better shape, feels better, seems to be playing more fundamentally sound than he was last year. I think a lot of the sacks that came last year, a lot is overstating it, but he went around. And I remember Chris Long saying, wow, he really gets allowed to run the hoop, meaning way upfield, the way the Patriots generally don't do, way outside the tackle and then come back. I think he's been more fundamentally sound, and I think the games that they're constructing up front that they always do have been really effective.
How they've used him, too, to me has been important. Very rarely do you see Matt Judon's snap count go over 50. And last year around this time, he was regularly over that number. Right. They were using him on all three downs. Now they're finding room for him to get a breather here and there. That's a big reason why I think Uche is important to the mix now as well. You don't have to have Judon out there on every passing situation if you can bring in Josh Uche to fill that role and give you real pass rush work. So I think he should be a little bit more fresh down the stretch.
Well, here is, by the way, a look at the remaining offenses that the Patriots will face this season. Obviously, they face the top-ranked offense twice with 2 games against the Bills. Besides the Dolphins and maybe the Bengals, Pat's opponents' offenses really don't jump off the page the way we thought they might at the beginning of the season. And by the way, it could get even easier as the Bills are reportedly evaluating quarterback Josh Allen for a UCL injury in his throwing elbow. Allen was injured on the final drive of yesterday's loss to the Jets. Yeah, I was going to say, you saw him there holding that elbow, kind of stretching it out. Yeah. Phil, is that bottom half of the schedule, back half of the schedule, as daunting as it once seemed?
Well, I think the Minnesota game looks a little tougher to me than it did before the season. The Jets game is tougher to me now than it was before the season started. So I think there's a balance there. Yeah, the Raiders aren't as good as we thought they were going to be. The Bengals have been a little bit up and down. I still think it's a really tough end of the schedule. The Dolphins are better, too, than we thought before the season. I think that back half of the schedule is still really difficult.
And the question becomes, Trenni, how do the Patriots get to 20 points regularly?
Yeah.
Without support from their defense and special teams. You can't count on those as 6 on a week-to-week basis. So can the Patriots be in a position where they're constructing 3 or 4 scoring drives a game with a touchdown or 2 mixed in?
And they've had they've been lucky where this offenses that they've faced have not scored a lot of touchdowns early, so they haven't had to play from behind. That has always been an issue.